Hello guys, welcome to another TBB59C video. This is the first video of this new podcast. I will read the book called The Sinking of the Bismarck, The Deadly Hunt by William Shirer. Okay. Chapter 2, The Shadowing of the Bismarck. The Germans had a secret code expression for the mission of the Bismarck. They called it the Rhine exercise after the River Rhine. The confidential German naval records captured at the end of the war revealed the Bismarck's sailing orders. She was to destroy British merchant shipping in the Atlantic and to avoid, if possible, engagements with a strong enemy fleet. But if cornered by British battleships, the Bismarck was to fight with all she had. The German Naval Command did not believe the Bismarck would be caught. She was too fast for the British battleships. There was some danger, of course, and that the big warship might be observed breaking out into the Atlantic north or south of Iceland. But the chances of that, it was believed in Berlin, were slim. The top command of the German Navy was convinced that the British warships did not yet have radar as the Bismarck did. This was a costly mistake. Radar enables a ship or plane to see through fog or clouds. It bounces an electric impulse against an object and retrieves it. The screen reveals the location of the object, its distance, its speed, and its direction. Some of the British warships hunting for the Bismarck had radar too, and it was to play a key role in what now ensued. The mighty Bismarck, as we know from secret German records, sailed from the Baltic port of Gdynia on the evening of May 18, 1941. She was accompanied by the new heavy cruiser, 14,000-ton, 8-inch guns, Prinz Eugen. They were supposed to have sailed a month earlier. This would have given them the advantage of having dark nights in which to slip past Iceland into the North Atlantic. But the Prinz Eugen had hit a British magnetic mine in the Baltic and been slightly damaged. The repairs had delayed the venture by nearly a month. Now in the Arctic waters, close to midnight sun, there would be no completely dark nights. The delay was to prove costly. Still, Admiral Gunther Lütens on his flagship Bismarck was confident as he put out to sea. He was a hard-bitten, stern, somewhat sour naval officer. The crews nicknamed him the Black Devil. He had enjoyed dizzy success. It was he who had commanded the battle cruisers Scharnhorst and Gneisenau a few months earlier, where they had sunk 22 British merchant ships. With the more powerful Bismarck, Lütens was confident that he would be even more successful. 2 German supply ships and 5 tankers had been put to sea many days before. If Admiral Lütens needed to refill at sea or replenish his ammunition stocks, he could depend on them. All of them had slipped through the British and were now at a secret rendezvous in mid-Atlantic. 4 submarines were also gathering there to aid him if necessary. The German admiral put into Grimstad Fjord just south of Bergen, Norway at 9 o'clock a.m. On May 21st, he refilled his 2 ships there, taking advantage of the low cloud cover. He put out to sea at 11 o'clock that evening. He did not know that a speedy enemy Spitfire reconnaissance plane had spotted and photographed his ship shortly after noon. The plane had not been seen by the ship's lookouts. But that night, as his squadron sailed north for the Iceland Passage, he was informed by Berlin that the British had discovered his leaving the Baltic. The German Naval Command did not believe the British knew more than that. German reconnaissance planes flew over Scapa Flow on the afternoon of May 22nd and reported that the British home fleet had not budged from its base. This was good news to the German admiral aboard Bismarck. It meant that the enemy's home fleet could not catch up with him now. Unfortunately for Admiral Lutyens, the report was not accurate. As we know, one squadron of the home fleet, including the Hood and the Prince of Wales, had scaled from Scapa Flow the night of May 21st. Through the stormy Arctic waters around Iceland, it was converging on the German ships. Neither Vice Admiral Holland aboard the Hood nor Admiral Lutyens on the Bismarck knew this. Each had no idea where the other was, but they were soon to learn. Where is the Bismarck? That was the question uppermost in the minds of the British naval commanders at sea as the day of May 23rd dawned. No trace of her had yet been found. Normally, scouting planes ranging over the passage routes would have been able to pick her up by now. But low clouds and fog, and in the Denmark Strait, snowstorms that greatly curtailed their work. Most planes had not even been able to take off. All day long, Admiral Tovey on his flagship King George V, plowing northwest toward Iceland, waited impatiently for news of the sighting of the Bismarck. None came. Toward evening, he calculated that the German ships might well have slipped through the Iceland-Faroes Channel. It was 240 miles wide enough. He did not have enough ships to cover it all in the bad weather. As evening came on May 23rd, Tovey's spirits were none too high. No news about the Bismarck was, to him, bad news. Shortly after 7 p.m., the British cruiser Suffolk, on patrol in the Denmark Strait, reached the top of the minefield off the northwest coast of Iceland and turned around. She had been ordered the day before to look for the Bismarck entering the strait between the minefield and the ice pack that stretched out to sea for 100 miles from Greenland toward Iceland. The customary savage weather of these northern waters, gales, snowstorms, heavy mist, and bitter cold, somewhat subsided toward evening. There was actually clear weather over the ice, and for some 3 miles off it. But to the northeast, toward Iceland, mist and fog still enshrouded the area. When Captain R.M. Ellis, commander of the Suffolk, turned around, he deliberately steered over from the ice to the edge of the mist. He did not want to be caught in the open by the big guns of the Bismarck, should she suddenly appear from the northeast. It would be more difficult to see her from the stern of his ship on the southwest leg of his patrol. Therefore, he kept the Suffolk close to the southwest leg of his patrol. Therefore, he kept the Suffolk close to the edge of the mist, so that at any moment she could dive quickly into and out of sight. In the fog bank, he could still get a fix on the enemy ship if she could approach. For unknown to the Germans, Captain Ellis had the latest model radar installed on his cruiser. He had made a study of its use. This study was now to prove its worth. 15 miles south of the Suffolk, deep in the mist, was a second heavy cruiser, the Norfolk, under the command of Captain A.J.L. Phillips. Also aboard the ship was Rear Admiral Wake Walker, who commanded the two cruisers on patrol. The radar on the Norfolk was of primitive make and not much use in the search. Admiral Wake Walker had therefore ordered the ship to keep 15 miles south of the Suffolk and well under cover of the mist and fog. To the Suffolk, with her new radar gear, he assigned the main job of finding the Bismarck should she try to slip through the Denmark Strait. Having turned around, the Suffolk was edging southwest just clear of the line of mist when, at 7:22 p.m., a lookout of the starboard aft cried out, "Ship bearing green 140 degrees." A moment later came a second cry, "Two ships on the same bearing." Captain Ellis raced to the starboard side of the bridge. Through his binoculars, he saw the outline of the Bismarck, followed by a heavy cruiser. She knew she was only 14,000 yards away. Even at 40,000 yards, he knew the Bismarck's 15-inch guns could blow his ship to bits in an instant. He immediately gave the order, "Hard a port." The Suffolk turned sharply toward the mist. Then a couple of minutes passed before she reached cover. Each second seemed an eternity to the crew. Finally, the British cruiser disappeared into the protective fog. Apparently, the lookouts on the Bismarck had seen nothing. Captain Ellis was in a happy but ticklish position. He had found the Bismarck, but he had been forced to steer into the midst of his own minefield to escape her, and he feared that the Bismarck's radar might have discovered him. If so, the radar could also give the German battleship the range, and that would be the end of the Suffolk. Frantically, before it might be too late, the captain sent out a radio message that he had sighted the Bismarck. Further messages in rapid succession gave her position, course, and speed. Captain Phillips on the Norfolk was just having dinner when a signal petty officer broke into his cabin in high excitement. "Suffolk's got him, sir," he cried. The electrifying news crackled over the airwaves to the other ships of the Navy and to the Admiralty in London. The Bismarck had been found. The next job for the British was to engage and sink her. Back in the mist, Captain Ellis aboard the Suffolk watched the Bismarck and her companion cruiser on his radar screen. He let them pass him and then, at a distance of some 15 miles, emerged from the fog and began shadowing them. The Norfolk also suddenly emerged from the mist. Her captain saw the German battleship and cruiser only 6 miles away, steering directly for him. Captain Phillips turned sharply to starboard and immediately made a smoke screen to hide behind while speeding for the protection of the fog. Too late. This time the lookouts on the Bismarck had their eyes open. The German battleship opened fire on the British cruiser with her 15-inch guns. 3 salvos straddled the smaller ship and another narrowly missed her. Splinters rained down on the Norfolk's deck, but she escaped unharmed into the mist. Admiral Lutyens aboard the Bismarck now knew he had been found, but as the Arctic half-night fell and the weather worsened, he believed that he might be able to shake off his shadowers. It began to snow hard and visibility declined to 1 mile. Towards midnight, the Suffolk's radar lost contact with the enemy ships. An hour went by, and another, and still no contact. The Bismarck was again lost. The spirits of the men on the British ships sank. Then at 2:50 a.m. on May 24th, which was to be a fateful day, the Suffolk regained touch with the Bismarck on her radar screen. At 3:20 a.m., as the visibility improved, Captain Ellis resighted the German ship 12 miles ahead of his port bow. All through the stormy, snowy light, Captain Ellis had kept the ships of the British fleet informed by radio of the ups and downs of his shadowing. He gave the position, course, and speed of the Bismarck whenever he could spot her. Shortly after 8 o'clock on the evening of May 23rd, Vice Admiral Holland, aboard the Hood, had picked up the first signal that the Bismarck had been found. He calculated that his battle squadron was some 300 miles due south of the Germans, and he changed course to meet them head-on. At midnight, he ordered the crews of the Hood and Prince of Wales to their action stations. But when word came a few minutes later that the Suffolk had lost contact with the enemy, the admiral relaxed his orders. Crews were told that they should snatch some sleep at their action stations. The news that Bismarck had been relocated reached the Hood squadron at 3 a.m. Vice Admiral Holland realized that he was now near the enemy, and he gave orders to close in at full speed, 28 knots. By 4 a.m., he estimated he was within 20 miles. Visibility was increasing with the coming of daylight. By 4:30 a.m., it was 12 miles and improving. Any moment now, the German Bismarck might heave in sight. At 5:10 a.m., Admiral Holland signaled instant readiness for action. 25 minutes later, at 5:35 a.m., his lookout saw on the distant horizon of the starboard beam the silhouettes of 2 German warships. The moment the British Navy had been waiting for so impatiently had come. It was a moment that Admiral Lutyens on the Bismarck had hoped to avoid. His orders were to sink British merchant shipping and evade battle with the British Navy if he could. That was no longer possible. 2 British capital ships were converging on him at top speed. One was certainly the Hood, which he knew to be the most powerful warship of the British Navy. The other, he decided, must be the new battleship King George V, though actually it was the sister ship Prince of Wales. Despite the fact he was outgunned by the British ships, Admiral Lutyens did not flinch. At 5:52 a.m., he radioed Berlin. "Am engaging 2 heavy units." At that very moment, the 15-inch guns of the Hood went off at a range of 2,500 yards, over 14 miles. The 14-inch guns of the Prince of Wales opened fire a few seconds later. Immediately, the Bismarck replied with a broadside from her 15-inch guns. The German cruiser Prinz Eugen joined in with her own 8-inch cannon. A great naval battle was engaged in the icy northern sea. Thank you for watching this video. There will be more podcast episodes in the future. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you later, guys, in the next video. Bye-bye!